Crop Talk on Market Journal is supported by Nebraska's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Well, contamination of groundwater has raised significant environmental and health concerns in Nebraska and beyond. New research coming out of the University of Nebraska Lincoln is showing how alfalfa in rotation with annual crops can reduce nitrate leaching potential and increase soil organic carbon sequestration. We recently had the opportunity to discuss this topic with Nebraska Extension Nutrient Management and Water Quality Specialist Javed Iqbal. Today on Crop Talk, we are discussing alfalfa in rotation with annual crops to help reduce nitrate leaching potential. Joining us is Javed Iqbal from Nebraska Extension. We appreciate you joining us here on the program. I guess size up this topic. How big of a problem is there here in Nebraska when it comes to nitrate leaching, and what's the potential health risk?
So our state of Nebraska is really fortunate enough to have plenty of groundwater that is used for drinking purposes and growing crops. However, growing crops comes at a cost, as excessive nitrogen fertilizer use in parts of the Nebraska has resulted in nitrate contamination in the groundwater. And we also know that more than 80% of Nebraskans, they drink this groundwater. And there are some research reports that have shown that this nitrate contamination in the groundwater has resulted some health effects. It has increased birth defects, pediatric cancer, and some other related diseases. So this water must be treated before this can be utilized by the people of Nebraska. And which also adds cost to treatment of this groundwater, as some Nebraskans are paying millions of dollars to treat this contaminated water. So in order to avoid this, in order to avoid the cost with the treatment of this groundwater and avoid the health effects, we must adopt some strategies to reduce nitrate contamination of our aquifer.
So in short, could be a big problem here. That's why you looked into this topic. So share with us, how does alfalfa, for those not used to this concept, how does alfalfa mitigate the potential for nitrate leaching?
So alfalfa is a major perennial leguminous forage crop with a deep taproot system that is efficient in uptake of deep soil nitrogen and water. This crop aggressively scavenges nitrogen in the soil and can take up significant amount of nitrogen below the crop rooting depth of the annual crops, and remove nitrogen in significant amount through its harvest. So this crop also fixes atmospheric nitrogen into the soil, which helps the crop nitrogen demand throughout the growing season. So giving these multiple benefits with alfalfa, with reducing nitrogen in the groundwater and fixing significant amount of nitrogen into the soil, including alfalfa in the crop rotation, is a long recognized concept to reduce nitrate leaching in the aquifer.
So Javed, tell me about the experiment, the study, and perhaps some of the conclusions you drew because of that.
To evaluate the impact of alfalfa rotation on nitrate leaching potential, we conducted a study in central Nebraska. So we took soil sample in the Vedo zone at 24 feet depth in the alfalfa rotation and continuous corn, and analyzed those samples for nitrate, ammonium, water, and soil organic carbon. What we find from this study was really interesting. Alfalfa in rotation decreased nitrate concentration by 55% and soil water by 27% compared to continuous corn, which indicated a strong potential of reducing nitrate leaching with alfalfa in the rotation. We also found that this alfalfa also added some carbon credits. It increased soil organic carbon by 47%. Overall, our finding from this study indicates that including alfalfa in the rotation is a highly effective means of reducing nitrate leaching in our aquifer, and this practice could be adopted to protect the drinking groundwater quality, especially in the wellhead protection areas.
So those are results you found. How about on the economic side of this? Of course, in 2/3 of Nebraska, the typical rotation is corn and soybeans back and forth. If people were to mix in an alfalfa rotation in there for a few years, what kind of economic benefits could that perhaps bring?
This, including alfalfa in the rotation, can be profitable. a research analysis at journal has shown that in a 10-year crop rotation cycle, with 5 years of corn and soybean and 5 years of alfalfa, there was 9% higher profit with alfalfa rotation compared to corn soybean rotation. This benefit in profits was mainly due to reduced nitrogen fertilizer inputs in alfalfa rotation, as including alfalfa in the crop rotation can reduce fertilizer nitrogen inputs by 66%. So this really indicates that including alfalfa in the rotation is a cost-effective means of reducing nitrate in the aquifer.